one of the issues of the Final Call newspaper, where it says here that Republican Congress targets Farrakhan. The GOP lawmaker proposes resolution to condemn Minister Farrakhan, but the measure is based on false charges of anti-Semitism. Be sure to get, this is in the issue of March 27th, okay? You can go online to finalcall.com. I think we have contact information for that, finalcall.com, or digital, finalcall.com, to get your digital copy in addition to the paper copy. I believe it's on the screen there if you would like to learn more about the Final Call newspaper. Actually, I'm going to be sharing some events and world news, local and domestic news, but let me just touch on this. I can't even think of a word that properly fits the Congress's targeting of Minister Farrakhan. But let me just share with you the minister's take on this. This is not the first time he's been targeted. I believe they came at him in 1984 when he stood up with Jesse Jackson, when Jesse Jackson was running for the presidential nomination. And now we're back again in 2013 with the same rhetoric of trying to condemn the minister based on some false allegations of him being an anti-Semite. But let me just briefly get through the minister's, over the years, this is his response to these false charges. This is Minister Farrakhan speaking in his words. "You better listen to this little black slave coming up from among you. My voice is the voice of God in your midst. I don't care 2 cents for the United States Senate's repudiation. I warned the Senate, and I warned the government, and I warned the president that America is headed down the drain. We black people in America will raise up our voices to repudiate the United States Senate, the United States Congress, the United States government, because it was the United States government under the counterintelligence program of J. Edgar Hoover that murdered and assassinated black leaders and destroyed black organizations. What did the Senate say, and what did the Senate do? You are doing to me just what you did to all the prophets and those prophets' voices that rose up before me. You condemned Jesus, and the Roman Senate repudiated him, but today you worship him. What will you do for me tomorrow?" In 2013, we called for a public showdown with the Southern Poverty Law Center, the Anti-Defamation League, and the heads of the 12 major Jewish organizations in America. Why didn't they accept the challenge? They hated him without a cause. As we know, that's what I just stated is exactly, they hated him without a cause is Jesus, during Jesus' time of 2,000 years ago. He was hated by the Roman government without a cause. This, again, I'm quoting the minister's words here. "Look at some of the names that they call me. I've been called divisive, a Hitler lover. They even went so far to call me in the Jewish paper the New Hitler, a hater, a Klan lover, a con man, a bigot, and then they topped it all off with, they call me the devil himself. Mr. Koch said I should burn in hell. What do you think the aim and the purpose is of they using these kind of words? What is the purpose of such words being written by the press and spoken in the public by men and women of renown? The aim is to discredit a man by the use of false terms without any just basis. The aim is to create an environment of hostility around that man that will keep the people from hearing what he has to say. If I'm a hater, who wants to be involved with hate? If I'm a bigot, who wants to be involved in bigotry? If I'm an anti-Semite, see, they're trying to discredit the power of my message by calling me names that will undercut my magnetic attraction in my own people. Evidently, it's not working. Calling me those names is designed to undercut any support that you might want to give me. It is to alienate people from me who might desire to help me. Then it is designed to isolate me and then, of course, destroy my influence among black people. And then ultimately, the aim is to murder me. That's the ultimate aim. Again, those are words of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that he has spoken and shared in public with the listening audience wherever and whenever he has spoken these words. And he continues and says, don't allow the false propaganda from my enemies to keep you away from me. Watch this test. Actually, there is a YouTube clip that the minister was speaking at Rutgers University, and he made the comment, don't allow the false prophets, or don't allow the false propaganda from my enemies to keep you away from me. Let us also keep in mind that the COINTEL program that was ran by J. Edgar Hoover in the 60s, trust, know, and believe it is still in place, still being implemented as we speak. Let me share with you what J. Edgar Hoover had to say at the time that the Nation of Islam was under surveillance, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm X, the Southern Christian Leadership Organization, several black organizations were under scrutiny. And also keep in mind, they just came out with this black identity extremists. There's a purpose and a reason for that, and it falls right in line with the COINTEL program. J. Edgar Hoover, the head of America's domestic law enforcement agency, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, issued the following directive. The purpose of this new counterintelligence endeavor is to expose, disrupt, misdirect, miscredit, or otherwise neutralize the activities of black nationalist, hate-type organizations and groups, their leadership, spokesmen, membership, and supporters. By hate-type organizations, Hoover explained that he meant such groups as the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the Congress of Racial Equality, and the Nation of Islam. The group, the Nation of Islam at that time, before the government assassinated Malcolm X, was part of the Nation of Islam as well. Hoover issued another directive that stated, prevent the rise of a Messiah. His intent and purpose was issued this directive to prevent the rise of a Messiah who could unify and electrify the militant black nationalist movement. Malcolm X might have been such a Messiah. Martin Luther King, Stokely Carmichael, the Nation of Islam leader at that time was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and now it is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. All aspire to this position. King could very well be a contender for this position should he abandon his supposed obedience to white liberal doctrines, parenthesis, nonviolent. And we do know that Dr. Martin Luther King had a nonviolent philosophy. However, he did meet with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad when he realized, in Martin Luther King's own words, that he felt like by taking a nonviolent stance, he had led and was leading his people into a burning house. Nonviolence was not working with the water hose and the dogs being sick and being arrested and you name it. That was being done to black people back in the 60s. Now, Karen Bass, the U.S. representative, made an interesting comment. She says, if there's an FBI report on black identity extremists, why isn't there a report, or why no report on those who are white? So again, we are definitely being scrutinized. The minister spoke in his own words why. I would implore all of us to listen to him Wherever he say go, go. Wherever he say stay from, stay from. He is the leader of the black nation here in the wilderness of North America, and you don't have to be a member of the Nation of Islam to be under his guidance, tutelage, and leadership. If you're black, that's good enough. We're catching hell not because of our religious affiliation, but because we're black. I leave you as I came before you with Assalamu alaikum.
This is a list of respected blacks who have been victimized by being called black anti-Semites, and it spans the religious and political spectrum. We'll start with Elijah Muhammad. That man never said one negative word about Jewish people. You know what he did say? We need to have an economic program. That made him anti-Semitic. Because if you're going to have some black economics, somebody going out of business. And when you have black men and women teaching that we should buy from our own, support our own, well, when you buy from your own, support your own, in the days when the Jews had businesses all in our community, you'd be taking money from them. Now you'd be taking it from Arabs, Koreans, and others. Everybody getting fat off of us. But guess what? Booker T. Washington, W.E.B. Du Bois, Marcus Garvey, maybe you don't know them. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X. Before I became the leading black anti-Semite, did you know that Brother Malcolm had the title? He was one of my teachers. Julian Bond, Kwame Ture, Stokely Carmichael, Andrew Young, former president of the NAACP, Kwesi Nkrumah, Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, Joseph Lowry, SNCC, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. The Black Panthers were called anti-Semitic yesterday, and the new Black Panther Party is called anti-Semitic today. The Universal Negro Improvement Association, Brother Marcus Garvey's movement, they were called anti-Semitic. Nation of Islam. But now let's go overseas. Mahatma Gandhi. Yes! Nelson Mandela. Bishop Desmond Tutu. I'm in a good list of top people here. Scholars, John Hope Franklin, J.A. Rogers, James Baldwin, Richard Wright, Julius Lester, Alice Walker. Among entertainers, Michael Jackson, Spike Lee, Ice Cube, Arsenio Hall, Muhammad Ali, Public Enemy, and they even call Oprah. 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 Now, you see, whenever a black person looks like they're going to step out of line a little bit, hit them with that anti-Semitism. They get right back in line. But guess what? They didn't stop there. Harry Truman, president. John F. Kennedy. Richard Nixon. Jimmy Carter. Gerald Ford. George H.W. Bush. And now they call our dear, beloved brother Barack Obama an anti-Semite. Now what the hell does he have in common with me? I'm on the bottom rung of the anti-Semite ladder. He's at the top. Well, who the hell else is in between? That's you. My God. I mean, are all of us anti-Semitic? That's why we are ready to go before the world and show that they're not. There are Semitic Jews. Yes, there are Semitic Jews. The Sephardim, they're Semitic Jews. The Falashas, they're Semitic Jews. But the Ashkenazi are European Jews. And guess what? 2 weeks ago, I read in the paper that the Ashkenazi Jews had a school and the Sephardic Jews wanted to educate their children in that school, and this Ashkenazi Jews said no, they will not go to school with a Sephardic Jew. See, these are the real anti-Semites now. Oh, I'm a little bit more. Did you know that Martin Luther King had a little Jewish problem? No, not our brother. Yeah, quoting him. When we were working in Chicago, we had numerous rent strikes on the west side, and it was unfortunately true that in most instances, the persons we had to conduct these strikes against were Jewish landlords. We were living in a slum apartment owned by a Jew and a number of others, and we had to have a rent strike. We were paying $94 for 4 rundown, shabby rooms. And we would go out on our open housing marches on Gage Park and other places, and we discovered that whites with 5 sanitary, nice, new rooms, apartments with 5 rooms, were paying only $78 a month. We were paying 20% tax. The Negro ends up paying a color tax, and this has happened in instances where Negroes actually confronted Jews as the landlord or the storekeeper. So you can imagine when he said something like this, he was an anti-Semite. And you notice, a man wrote me this week, after the story came out. He said, Farrakhan, you say we owe you? We don't owe you nothing. You owe us. He said, I'm sending you the bill for us Jews that started the NAACP, and the money that we spent organizing you people's marches for justice and jobs, which you don't have now and never did have. Damn, I mean, look at that God. He's gonna send me the bill. Now, we have, after you called me an anti-Semite, we went into your libraries. We studied from your writings. We studied from your rabbis, your historians, your scholars, and everything that we wrote is backed up by footnotes that any one of you who wish to be scholarly can go and find the book that we quoted and the author that we quoted, that you may see that we did not lie on the Jewish scholars, historians, and rabbis. I'd like you to see these books. This is Secret Relationship, Book 1. You don't have it yet? Well, how will you know whether we are telling the truth on them if you don't read the truth that we have taken from their scholarship? They say Book 2 is a great calumny. Wrong. It's the truth. The great calumny is what you put out against me and the Nation of Islam. So we're going to expose the calumnies that you put out against us, and we're going to put out the truth of what we have discovered in your own writing. So listen, those of you who really want to know the truth, go to the NOI.org and the Final Call bookstore and order book number 1, book number 2. They may say it's a calumny, but I ask you, are you ready for the showdown? Are you ready to come out from where you hide? Are you ready to meet us and our scholars in the public so that the world may see who is a liar and who is telling the truth? And if I'm lying, I am willing to pay with my life. Are you willing to pay with yours? Let me warn you of the showdown of Elijah with the Baal prophets. Let me warn you of the showdown with Moses and Aaron and the magicians of Pharaoh. Bring out whomsoever you want. But don't you send your Negroes out, because we know you made them into yourself. You Negroes, like that man in Django, you going to the side. He made Toms look real bad, and you don't get in that role. Don't you let them use you to come out against us because you don't like where we're going with this broadcast. No, you stand to the side and watch the drama. And to you, my friends in the Jewish community, remember, this is not about you. This is about your errant brothers and sisters. This is not about Gentiles that have been victimized by the synagogue of Satan that has a lot of Gentiles in it. It's not about you. It's about those who have deceived you and now are trying to rob you of your future with the God of the Sabbath who is now present. No. If there's to be a showdown, it must be in a public place where all the media of the world can witness this, since you've poisoned my name all over the earth. I can't go to London because I'm persona non grata. I've been mistreated by your people in different parts of the world. We want to end this right now. May God bless us to meet you, but I know you won't. You'll continue to press my brother as President of the United States to do something about me, like you're trying to press him to do something about Syria and Iran. President Obama, don't listen to these hyenas and jackals that are in high places. You would be wise to follow the dictates of your conscience if it has not been taken by Satan. Because every time God sent a prophet, in the message of the prophet, there was a threat and a warning. So it is today. America, you don't have a lot of time to play with the lives and the destiny of a people that God has chosen for himself. We are that people. We are the real children of Israel. And you have it there in your scripture. If you would bless us, you would be blessed by God. But if you continue your evil plans against us, then God will step up the calamities that are facing you from north to south to east to west. Yes, we have to find the path of unity.